So this is the Self-Love Talk panelists, and I am going to allow each and every one of these beautiful ladies go ahead and introduce themselves, okay?
Hey ladies.
Hey.
Hello. It works? Okay. I'm just going to talk really loud because I'm not sure if it's working. My name is Dr. Natalia Fuller. I go by Dr. Canary on Instagram. I'm a psychiatrist as well as a certified sex therapist. And I'm CEO and founder of the company Mind, Body, Sex. And I help women such as yourselves have orgasms. I help women heal from sexual abuse. I teach wellness classes, sexual wellness classes. And then with my psychiatry, I teach people how to heal from their trauma. So I combine sexology and psychiatry, and that's where Mind, Body, Sex comes from, because you can't have an amazing sex life if your mind is not in tune with the rest of your body.
Hi everybody, I'm Shida Milton. Y'all can hear me? Okay, I'll just talk loud. I can do that very well.
Is there any more mics?
So I'm Chidima Anusiam, also known as Author Chief. I'm a life after divorce coach, so I help women heal from broken relationships, move past all that pain, rediscover your self-worth, and create the life that you deserve and desire. Okay, so in Yoli, your testimony was perfectly in line, and not just women that have been through divorce, but if you've been through a broken relationship, I can help you with that. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, family.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I appreciate you guys, family. I know y'all been seeing me do it all. I don't limit myself. I'm able to do videography, editing, show up in front of the camera, behind the scenes, wherever I'm supposed to be in service to. That's where God leads me to. I don't limit myself. I know that we are here to be used by God. I'm giving God all the credit. I'm just the vessel here, and I choose me every single day because I'm living for God. And when you put God so first, now you're able to overflow in love. I'm able to give to all of my sisters. I'm able to show up for you when you need me and be there for you because I have been showing up for me, and that's what self-love is all about. We are just the expressions of love when we give it to ourselves first. So it's so important to remember that we are whole again. We lack nothing. We need nobody for nothing. And until then, like we said before, the men will bow down to us when we realize our power is all within. They need us before we need them, but they got us in reverse right now, so it's time to take our power back.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm not going to use this mic because I don't think it's working right now. But I want to start the panel talk with Author Chief. Author Chief, what are some of those, what advice would you give for someone? What is the first step that you would give to someone who have experienced divorce or a bad relationship? What is some tools and some tips that you can give someone?
Yes, that's a great question because, you know, when you go through a divorce or a broken relationship, there's so many pieces, you don't know which one to pick up first, right? So what I say is, come ready to acknowledge exactly where you need to heal. Acknowledge the fact that you need healing. That's the first step, because you can come in, I'm okay, I'm good, you know, because sometimes, you know, back in the day, Mama taught us that we don't talk about it. You know, we're strong, you know, we don't have to show those emotions. You know, we got to keep it together for the kids, but at the end of the day, that has held a lot of us back as women from truly healing. So being ready to bear all and say, hey, I am broken. That's the first step. I am broken and I need help being put back together. When you can get that clear and that simple about where you need healing, the rest will just flow freely through you, right? So I would say that would be the first step.
I think that's a good question. It's really like recognizing and understanding where you are in that present moment. Because sometimes we don't want to face. We're scared. We feel embarrassed. So we're not facing reality. So I think acknowledging that first step is so imperative, so you can be free, so you can break through, so you can live your true, authentic self. That is just so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tara Chantel, you know, you are a self-love advocate. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do. What is something that you can, some tips and some tools that you can tell us on how to really like incorporate self-love and self-care. How does the two hold spaces in our lives where it can really like foster and really like bring our whole self?
I believe that it all starts in the mind. So what are you speaking to yourself? What are you saying to yourself in the mirror? Every time I look myself in the mirror when I'm brushing my teeth, I tell myself I am beautiful, how powerful I am. I am a goddess. Like, we gotta speak life to ourselves. It's power and death in your tongue. So instead of saying I'm trying to do this, stop being humble. Stop dimming your light. You have a light within you. You are the kingdom. You are the light shining, because we all need it in this dark world. We are fleshly right now, and we are being possessed because we are under spiritual warfare. So knowing that the enemy is attacking us by distractions, by the media, by this rap music, by certain men that's looking for you as prey. They want what you got because they know your power, and they will take it by any means. And they talk a good game, but don't listen to the talk, listen to the action. And this is by having discernment. Your intuition will never lie to you, and that's your God talking to you. And when you get closer with your intuition, it's gonna lead you step by step. We don't gotta know how it's gonna happen, but all good will be done to you. But just take one day at a time. It's no rush. Step by step, and let your intuition lead you, because that's your God.
I think that is so imperative, like you said, one step at a time. We just have to be gentle with ourselves. We have to be patient, and everyone's journey is different, and no journey looks the same. And you have to embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly. And once we accept it and once we embrace it, then we can be able to really feel and really live in our true, authentic self. And that's what it really is about. Being in the present moment, feeling. And like you said, that discernment is true. The body speaks. Yes. The body does not lie. You can tell somebody how they feel just by their energy. You know, like when somebody come in the room, be like, ooh, I don't, you know. They didn't even have to say nothing.
And you don't gotta wait for somebody to stab you in your back. Feel that. Don't wait for them to stab you in their back. You feel me? You're not gonna be able to see it. It's your intellect within. So let's not continue to wait for them to do us dirty and do us wrong. When we feel they up to no good, let's skate immediately.
Okay, so now I have Dr. Fuller. I know you are a sex therapy, focused in psychiatry. You know, sex is kind of like that conversation. I think we get a little, I don't know, intimidated, a little scared. It's like, it's really not talked about in the bedroom. How can we make that space comfortable when we're talking to our partner about sex positions? If that hurts, no, I don't want to feel like a sex slave.
Yeah, just having a
you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, like,
yeah, just having a voice in your relationship.
Yeah.
So that's something that I definitely help my clients with. It's so important. What I've learned as Black women, a lot of times compared to other cultures, I travel around the world to do this. We are very meek because we weren't taught like to explore our sensuality, explore our sexuality. So growing up, your mom wasn't like, okay, well, this is what you're gonna do in the bedroom. It was like, oh, wait till you get married. Especially if you grew up in a church a lot like I did. You know, you want to wait till you're married, and then once you're married or in a serious relationship, you're like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know, because you were repressing all that sexuality. You couldn't masturbate or whatever the case may have been. So one of the things that I tell women to do is you want to be vocal. No man is going to know from jump what your body needs, but you first have to know what your body needs. You have to masturbate. You have to touch yourself. And it's not so much just even about your vagina, but your breasts, your inner thighs. You know, there's a lot of different areas that you can touch on your body just besides your vagina. A lot of people think masturbation is just dildo in their vagina, but it's not. It's actually a spiritual awakening. And making sure that your mental health is right. You're not going to be able to orgasm, and you're not going to be able to release anything if you cannot pleasure yourself for one, and if your mentality is not right. If you have, trauma from your past, sexual abuse, anything like that, it's going to be very hard or difficult for you to open up to someone else because you haven't even been able to open up to yourself. So to have that conversation, first you want to let your partner know, one, this is what I've been through. I've been through trauma. I've been traumatized. I've been assaulted. I've been raped, X, Y, and Z. You want to be open about that. Because if this is someone you're sharing your body with, they should know what you have been through. So that way they can also help assist in your healing process. And then two, you want to go to therapy. And I know people are really starting to get into therapy and wanting to go, which is great. But I think people go one time and then they're like, oh, I'm good. And that is not the case at all. Therapy is a long-term thing. And even as a psychiatrist, I have a grand therapist that I go to. Is an older woman. And she helps me because when I'm listening to everybody's problems, I also have to release my own problems. So, as mothers, as sisters, as girlfriends, we take on everything. So it's really important for us to have that emotional release, to be able to speak to our partner, and then be vocal. Practice what you're saying. It's really hard sometimes to tell your partner, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this, because you want to please them too. Well, one of the exercises I do for my clients is I have a checklist, and it has all the different things that you can possibly do in the bedroom. And you check them off, and then you trade with your partner, and you see what he wants, and then he sees what you want. And then that opens up a conversation of, oh, I'm comfortable with this, but I'm not comfortable with that. Like, you have to have your boundaries. But set your boundaries from the beginning. We tend to get real relaxed because we want this guy to like us or X, Y, and Z. And then further into the relationship, we're like, oh, we're not comfortable with that. But you have to set your boundaries from the beginning.
I think that's really good. Is that you want, but sharing your traumas, sharing your wants, your likes, your dislikes, and also saying it up front. Not waiting until you 2 months or 3 or however in a relationship, but speak it out in the open. And it's just so imperative for us to just be open with ourselves and to be open with that person. I want to just hit on one more subject, soul tying. What do you feel about soul tying?
So that is real. Soul ties are very real. And the thing is I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with exploring your sexuality. And there are women, I have women that are in polyamorous relationships or in polygamy relationships. And there's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. But you have to be careful with who you're giving yourself to, because not everybody's energy is good energy, like she mentioned. And a lot of times when you're having sex, that is a soul tie. That's an energy exchange. And people think that sex is just physical, but it's really not. It's not physical. It's spiritual. It's mental. It's all of that. And so when you're giving your body to somebody, you have that release. You feel good about yourself. But then afterwards, have you ever been like, damn, I feel empty inside. You exactly, and that's that soul tie. It felt good for that 10 to 15 minutes it did, but then afterwards you felt really empty. You felt alone. You couldn't have any discussions with him. He got up and left.
Yeah, it's so important when you're engaging in sexual activity, to know who it is that you're dealing with. It's so important because I can see different parts of my kids in the daddy. You know what I'm saying? That energy. And it speaks loud. It speaks so loud. Arkachi, what is something that you can give us as far as some tips on really bringing that wholeness to one? We started with that first step. Now we're doing the work. We're recognizing what it is that we need. We're going to therapy. We're, cultivating spaces like this. What is something to really continue to foster that thing as far as creating love in ourselves?
Yeah, I would say one of the things, I'll kind of piggyback on you as far as self-affirmation. But I always tell my clients to come up with your personal mantra. What is that quote, scripture, something that you're going to tell yourself throughout this journey that's going to waken you up again to where you're going? Because at the end of the day, when you start a journey of healing, sometimes you forget. You're like, where am I going? It's hard. I feel like I'll never get there. You got to remind yourself. So for me, I remember having a 3-month-old having to walk away from my marriage because it was abusive, emotionally and mentally abusive. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to do. I'm sleeping on my sister's bedroom floor. I lost my house. I lost my job. I lost everything. Well, the one thing I knew that I could not lose was myself. I had to keep my mind together and my credit. But I had to keep my mind together because I said if I lose my mind, I lose everything. So I said I'm not going to be bitter from this. I'm going to be better.
Ooh, that's good.
That was my personal mantra. That was something I spoke to myself every single day. And it's one thing when God speaks to you and tells you about you. It's one thing when your girlfriends and your family tells you about you. But it's another when you tell yourself about you.
Yes.
You wake up into the power of who you become. And it's like magic. When we finally sit in our seat, we sit in the seat that God created for us. It's magic. And so I was just admiring the young lady that did the sound healing. I said, you know what? Sometimes we're so busy trying to be like everybody else. We miss the magic in ourselves. Look how wonderful and creatively unique that was. How many of us have been sleeping on that in us, trying to replicate? We're missing out on the people that we are called to and that are called to us, right? So that personal mantra is something that I think is so powerful and so important. If you don't have one, get one today. Put it on your mirror. Say it to yourself every morning. Because what God says about you and what others says about you, combined with what you think about yourself, it makes you complete.
That's so good.
So,
Thank you so much for that. You said something really profound, like, pretty much taking your pain into purpose. And it's really not focusing on the bad, it's focusing on the good. Because that's what life is all about. We're going to experience hiccups and curveballs, and it's not going to always look like peaches and cream, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? But when we practice that self-healing and that work, when a hiccup does come, we're able to maneuver through it just a little bit better. Tara, so, self-love is such a big part of what we do. What is something that you can leave us as far as that self-love for ourselves? Something maybe if you want to tell us to say something or whatever it is, what is something that you want to leave everyone here as we close out?
I want to leave you with lead your life. Lead your life and own your body. Your body belongs to you. It don't belong to nobody but you. Own it, feel you, love it. Embrace all the curves that you have. Embrace your melanin. Embrace your natural hair. Embrace your crown. Embrace all of you. Because your body don't belong to nobody. We have been taught that we can't feel on us. We can't discover and explore our sexuality because we have been programmed to think that our body belongs to somebody else. It belongs to you. And I believe that the reason why I'm here today is because I kept my body to myself. And I believe that so wholeheartedly, because some people will really suck the life out of you. Some people will really take your power, and the power is within. And we just got to remember our wholeness again. We got to remember who we are. We got to have these sisterhoods again. We got to connect on a deeper level and know that we are together. And we got to come together. It's no competition. What's for you is yours. It will never miss you. So we got to cheer each other on. We got to share the stage. We got to shine each other light. We got to clap for each other because we need sisterhood. It's the reason why these men are out of control is because we out of control. Women realize we out of control. We got to get healed. We have to get healed because then we going to heal the nation. Because that's the power in the women. If we close our legs, they going to start acting right. They going to start acting right. They going to start bowing down to anything that you give them. But you cannot be his prostitute and his healer. You have to pick one.
His slave at that.
Say that one more time. I want to hear you say that one more time. Say it again.
You can't be his prostitute and his healer. That's good. Pick one.
That's a poetic car, y'all.
That is good.
And I have to add to that because I've found it problematic every time I hear a woman say, I'm saving myself for my husband.
Yeah.
You're not saving yourself for you.
Saving yourself.
You're saving yourself for you. Because guess what? He's not gonna probably appreciate that. He gonna have something to complain about. He wants you swinging from the chandelier, all this other stuff.
It's a sex slave. You be your sex slave.
So because if you say that, you have that perspective, you're gonna be disappointed.
You have a headache.
You say yourself for you.
That's good.
There's power in that.
And I think we've been programmed to save ourselves or our husband.
Thinking that's like the end all be
Now
all.
now we need to change that mindset and the trajectory, like you said. That was so profound and so vital. Saving it for me. This is for me.
I'm telling you, these fairy tales that they made up, they made it up. It's an illusion. It's not real. They made it up 400 years ago, so we can try to find our Prince Charming outside of us. You are the Cinderella. You are the queen. You are your own fairy tale. And it's time to write your story. This is all a movie. You can write the story how you want to be. You are the script writer, you are the director, you are the producer, you are the casting director. So if they're not playing their role correctly, how they supposed to play it, cast them out. Replace them.
Well, ladies, at this time, does anybody have any questions? You were passed some cards around for the self-love panel talk. And if you do, yes, just raise your hand. I have Zoomy right here.
This one goes to the sex therapist. So, part of my self-love journey is abstinence, right? Because I believe that's what's holding the power of allowing someone else to dictate or to control when or how I do things, right? So, would you say that your self-love journey does embrace a moment of abstinence as well?
Yes, absolutely. So it's interesting because with women, it's important to practice abstinence because I feel like it does lead to self-discovery. So a lot of times what happens is we use, sex is powerful, as we all know. And as women, we can use sex to persuade men to do a lot of things. But what's happening is sex is now becoming saturated. Men can get it from anywhere because women are opening their legs left and right. So there's no power now in having sex. So when you practice that abstinence, you're reclaiming that power back. And if that man truly wants you, then he's gonna wait. And even with men, actually most of my clients, I have 50-50, but right now most of my clients are actually men. And so what I'm learning from them is that they realize that they have the power now. And they tell me all the time, like, oh, if she's not gonna give it to me, then I'm just gonna move on to the next chick. Because they're like, women are desperate. That's what they're calling us. Desperate. And so even with men, for those that are in relationships, men practicing semen retention is actually really good as well. It's something that I talk to my clients about because it helps men think clearer. And if a man can practice semen retention, that man can act. He's not only is he a real man, but he's able to control his dick. You want a man that can. So yes, practicing abstinence is very powerful.
That's good.
I have a question.
Okay.
She's done for, did you say?
Author Chief.
Author Chief. I've noticed that getting married is a trend lately.
It's
a trend.
A trend.
And
Okay.
what I've been trying to do myself is, well, how can we keep ourselves from following, feeling like we're in a hurry just because, everybody's doing it. Back when I wasn't worried about that, but now it's like, dang, I'm 43 and I have 8 children. So I'm like,
I think it goes back to what she said about the programming.
right.
To treat marriage as if it's the overall goal of life, especially as a Christian woman. You're taught that. First of all, you're told not to date. Then you say get married. You're like, what I do between? I don't know what to do. So I'm like, I teach dating. You need to date. You need to get out there, get to know people. But also, I just told one of the young ladies here today. I said, what if you never get married?
Right.
What would you be doing with yourself and your time, your energy? Whatever that is, do that.
Yes.
Do that today. Because we can get so focused on, and then marriage becomes an idol. And when it becomes an idol for us, now we're off balance because our praise and worship is going to the wrong area. You see what I'm saying? So it's about prioritizing and saying, listen, that never happens for me. I know that's a bonus in life, but I don't need that to be happy and full. there's other versions of love that are pulling at me and wanting more of me. My children, my coworkers, my pastor, whoever. And we idolize this one type of love that we miss out on all these others. And when we learn how to pull them in, we become so full, right? That every other person then that comes into our life is just literally complementing the party, the joy, the love that we're already feeling. So I would say that is to get free from the idolization of marriage and enjoy your life just the way it is. The power of contentment. Contentment doesn't mean it's going to stay this way though. Contentment is I'm happy where it is for right now, but I know something bigger and better is coming. Right? So
I want to add a point to that too. So statistically, if you look, because I'm a doctor, so clearly I'm into science. I'm obsessed with medical stats. So statistically, you know, the marriage rate right now, I don't know if you guys know, the divorce rate is 50%, right? And in the African American community, it's actually decreasing though. So more people are getting married and staying married for a long period of time.
But why?
This is the thing. So we are Caucasian people get married younger. We're getting married older, which is helping us. So now the average black people are getting married at like 35, 36, 38.
But is it an illusion? Are they really staying together? Or did they marry because, I feel like the time right now?
See, and that's the thing, we won't know that unless they start doing more surveys. So that part we don't know. I haven't seen any research done on that. But what I have seen is that more blacks are getting married and they're staying married for longevity. But what I tell couples is don't get married, like she mentioned, for that illusion. And my thing is, if you date with purpose, I've noticed that a lot of the people that I coach and counsel and stuff, I ask them, what are you asking on the first date? Oh, what's his favorite color? And I'm like, that's not dating with purpose. You need to ask if he's looking to get married. Or if you're not looking to get married, is he looking for a partnership? You need to ask, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, what are your goals? Do you want to have kids? What's your religion? Ask important questions that you really know you want to ask, but you might be too shy to ask. And date with purpose, talk about going to therapy. Talk about healing together. Because the thing is, if you're going to therapy, he's not going to therapy, it's not going to work.
I just want to interject just real quick. That is so good because sometimes you feel like when you ask those questions in the beginning, it's too soon. So it's like, when do I interject? When, so let me ask the fun questions, the colors. You know what I'm saying? So
Ask tough questions because if he a bitch, he a bitch.
He's going to eliminate himself. Like she said, he's going to cut himself off. So you don't have to worry about it.
I gave it to her. Question.
that's true. Ask hardcore questions.
I have a question to Dr.
Fuller
about the orgasm and things like that in the bedroom. I think that I myself have been conditioned so much into pleasing a man that I have never had a orgasm.
Yes. And that's okay. You're not alone. At least 20 to 40% of women have not had orgasms.
They don't know what to do.
So, what can you give? And this is a very personal question to ask in front of everybody. But do you give yourself orgasm?
Yes.
Then you can have an orgasm. So what you have to do is figure out what the man is doing wrong. You're thinking it's on you, but a lot of times it's not on you. It's he does not know how to please you. And are you being vocal in the bedroom? So sometimes a lot of women actually do not have vaginal orgasm. Everyone thinks that that's the only way to have an orgasm, but maybe you need anal. 40% of women actually have better orgasms anally. We're scared to try anal. Get you some water-based lubricant. Start off with anal beads. Use a dildo first. Ease your way into it. But a lot of women, once they have anal sex, they actually really enjoy it. Can he please you by going down on you? So what you're gonna have to do is experiment. Have him use his fingers, use toys, go to the sex store together. That's actually a great way to practice intimacy that I don't see a lot of people doing, is going to the sex store with your partner. Make it fun, because then he's going to see what you're into. He's going to learn how to please you, and then you're having fun. You can get games, you can get dildos, you can get edible panties. Like, there's so many things that you can find at the sex store together. So in your situation, you're going to have to do some experimenting. And you're going to have to be more vocal about what you want in the bedroom. The same way you're giving yourself an orgasm, you're going to have to teach him. And that's one thing we have to do as women, is saying, you know what, babe, and don't have an attitude with it, because remember, guys, their ego is very fragile. So you're going to have to be like, you know, babe, I enjoy when you do this, but maybe you should flick your tongue like this, or watch porn together. If you see a porn that you like, and just be like, guide him on what you want him to do. Because the thing is, a lot of men, no one is telling them these things. So they think they're a man in the bedroom, and then their girl's coming to me and she's dissatisfied.
Right.
The problem is sometimes you can't talk to your man because their ego is so high.
Right.
And they think they are the man. And they're not. So
Right.
when you come to have that conversation, go here or move here, they get offended.
Well, first you gotta do it outside the bedroom. And see, that's a common mistake we make is we want to have the sex talk in the middle of sex or during sex. So a tip that I give is have a sex talk outside of the bedroom because then his ego is not like, okay, I'm trying to stroke her and then she's telling me, critiquing me. So just when you're chilling on the couch, Netflix and chilling, be like, babe, you know, I want to have a little discussion with you. You know, you please me, but there are some things that we could do better. I like this. I like it when you do this, but I would prefer this better. And guide him. Literally guide him. I give instructions to men on how to eat pussy. You know, I give instructions on women. Sorry to be so vulgar. I give instructions to women on, you know, on how to do, because the thing is, we're having sex, it should be good sex at the end of the day.
I got one more thing to say off that. I kind of go back to her when it comes to that because we got power over them anyway, and that little ego thing, it kind of you know, I mean, seriously, and it's sad that I like that because we do have to communicate, but we still
But see,
so much.
I get it, but what I have learned, just having this conversation, dealing with men, just with us, we have to build relationships. We gotta talk to each other. And that's this world nowadays, we not talking. We just jumping in the side. We just having sex, we just moving, and we just existing. But at the end of the day, you get lonely.
You are never alone. I believe you are never alone. Like you have your ancestors with you all the time. You with all these sisters.
But I don't want to take
surround-
them down.
I know that. You are still with people. Maybe you're not sleeping with somebody at night, and that's probably the you know.
You gotta build that relationship
With
first.
yourself first.
And then you could be able to have a conversation with a man. And then you can be open about what I like and what I don't.
Yes.
So I'm learning.
Because it's communication and comprehension as well.
And
It's
the
gotta be
approach.
both.
And the approach too.
The approach is
See, I like to be approached. I don't. Nowadays, men want to be approached.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
because the women are approaching those. That's the thing. Here in Atlanta, the women are very aggressive here. They're very aggressive here in Atlanta.
Men feel like they're the prize right now. So it's
So what do we do?
I'm telling you, it's time. It's really, you have to close your legs for a moment. You can't rush into it. It's okay to sleep alone because when you cuddle for 2 minutes, y'all sleeping on opposite sides anyway. You need your individual space, but don't feel like you need anybody, because when a man feels like, oh, I got her, she comfortable, then that means, okay, I can do whatever. She's a doormat at that point. So it's time to realize that you a boss, you a throne, you the CEO of your own life, and that you have everything that you have within him. He's just a bonus. Like you said before, like, live happily right at this moment. At this moment, I learned, scientifically speaking, like, single women are much more happier, but they have this illusion that we need somebody to fulfill us. Usually, if we have not mastered ourselves, they gonna just give us a headache. So we have to master ourselves, and they will just like add on to our happiness, but we first have to be happy. We first have to be joyful already, because they just going to just like sprinkle, like they don't even got to do nothing because you already giggling because you make yourself happy.
And I would say too, people always talk about what's your love language. You know, that's a very popular thing. I always ask, what type of love language have you showed yourself? How are you using those on yourself? Because you can use all five towards yourself, even physical touch. Even if you be like, okay, I feel weird about touching myself, right? Give them a massage. Let somebody else touch you, right? It don't always have to be sexual. It can be non-sexual, and you can still get that feeling of being touched. That's important. You want that, you know. So I would just say that. Somebody had a question. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
I wanted to add to, this whole part of the conversation. So what has been helpful for me, especially in celibacy that didn't start out intentionally, I just kind of realized oh, this is kind of cool. You know, I'm appreciating myself more. So I've been really seeing the value. It's been an awakening. Just the concept of keeping yourself to yourself, but not thinking about like the man or like how that factors in. I guess what I'm trying to say is destigmatizing selfishness for yourself as a woman. You get to be selfish. You get to make all your pleasure about you. And I'll just get a little bit explicit. What my masturbation mantra has been is I deserve this pleasure. I deserve an abundance of pleasure. And this is all for me. Like I'm not thinking about how this would be if it was a man that I was engaging with. It's just, it's all about you. It's okay for it to be all about you. And you also have the agency, if you take it, you have the agency to give yourself whatever it is that you could possibly desire from a man, anybody. You know, friends, sometimes your friends are not available, sometimes they're not answering. You need encouragement, you need a hug or whatever. There's all kind of YouTube videos. You know, like there's always some motivational speaker just on hold, ready to hype you up. You just find what it is that you need, or get very centered in yourself, get very like introspective, and be very honest with yourself to the best of your ability to figure out what it is that you actually need. You know, you can provide that for yourself. If you like being wine and dine, I highly recommend do it for yourself.
Right. So ladies, we're going to take about another 3 questions. I think, did you have one?
Well,
1, 2, 3, and then we're going to end it with that, okay? Time is money.
But yeah, just give it whatever you could possibly desire. You do. I want everybody to really understand, if that's what you need to understand, is you have the option to give it to yourself. Figure it out, but it is possible. That's my testimony. I know it's possible because that's what I'm doing.
Well, first I was going to comment on marriage. So I don't know if anybody else is here from Louisiana, but I'm from New Orleans, and I was married young. We grew up in a system that we were preconditioned to believe like we're built on relationships. New Orleans is the land of loyalty. You will find people who've been with people their whole life. That's their first boyfriend. And it's kind of like we were taught that you get with that person, and regardless, like you go through the fucking, excuse my language, fires of hell with the person. And you never let them go. And so I am different because out of most of the people that I know who were married, I chose to leave my marriage. And everybody looked at me like I was the crazy person. You know, because it was like, how could you? I was married at 22. I was with him at 18, and I left at like 33. That's almost my whole life. I've given you the best moments of my life. So it's like, if you want to take back some moments for yourself and be honest, like culturally, sometimes it's not like that. Religious factors, New Orleans is like heavily Catholic. It's like you're married, you're going to hell, you leave your husband, he gonna run around and he gonna be with the lady next door, whatever the conversation is. So that goes into what you say. You like, are people married because they want to be, or are people, is an illusion? Some of it is. Some of it is cultural. Some of it is like, it don't matter if your husband have a woman on the other side of town. Does he pay your rent? Does he do what he was supposed to do for you? Does he show up for you? Is he there for you? Is he with your kids? And it's like, the ideal is, why would you leave your husband and all you're going to do is give it to the lady down the street? So that's one thing. And then the other comment was to say what you were going to say about being selfish. I just want all of y'all to remember that the greatest things in the world are built in solitude. So you have to take a moment for yourself. You cannot manifest nothing great in your life with being out in the open. Whether that's in sex, whether that's in friendship, whether that's in a relationship, whatever. You have to stop and pause and be in solitude with yourself to manifest those things. And like you say, curate your own life, be the CEO of you.
Masturbation Meditation is a manifestation.
It's a powerful manifestation.
Yeah.
We had another question over here. Yes. She said, if you recognize a light, how do you preserve that light? Was that it? If you, once you recognize you have a light, how do you preserve?
I would.
That is the.
That's what happened.
That's the key. How you said it's balance. We gotta. It's like a dance and a flow that we all have to go to. And I really suggest using your nose. Like, we have to have boundaries. We have to have standards off rip. If I won't ask you to do something that is outlandish, don't ask me. Don't come with that same energy. And be okay with saying no. I believe the ones that get offended when you choose you are not for you. We gotta let them walk out, because they going. Those the ones that are narcissists. They have the ego driven. They are just about self. But the people that are for you will appreciate you for standing up for yourself, for speaking up for yourself. Nobody is going to save you here. You have to save yourself. We first have to put the life jacket over us before anything. So we can't be Captain Save everybody. We have to save ourselves as black women, and then we will save the nation. We will lift up other people. But it's okay to say no and have your boundaries. And I believe, yes, solitude is a balance. Like, I'm with y'all right now. I'm going straight home after this so I can recharge, so I can silence everything. Turn off the TV. The music right now, Cardi B, Megan, they're not your friends. They're not your sis. They are promoting prostitution for you. This is not music that's going to cultivate your soul. So you have to realize the mainstream is white supremacy. So they want you to be baby mamas. They want you to stay at such a low frequency. They don't want you to live high and be vibrant. So listen to motivation. Listen to podcasts. Read. And silence is productivity. Doing nothing is productive. We got to stop being so busy. We got to be busy sitting with ourselves.
Let me add that. Listen. Are you recording? Because I need to hit a play back. But that was good. I want us to be delivered from the turn the other cheek mentality. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we've been so conditioned that if someone hits me, I just turn the other cheek. I don't say nothing, because that don't make me a good person. I got to be able to endure it. I got to be able to give my all. I'm a giver. That's what I do. I love people. I'm going to pour it out. But I don't think that saying was to say don't have boundaries, because it also says to guard your heart. That's a thing. And I think, especially as women, we're naturally nurturers and givers and stuff like that. And when I coach the women that I do coach, I notice a lot of them are givers. A lot of them are women that have really poor boundaries because they felt somewhere in their lifetime someone told them that it's the Christian thing to do, or it's the right thing to do to give up yourself. But one thing I said, well, God didn't call us to die for people. He did that already. And I think we're in a position where we keep dying for people. We keep getting cancer because we've been in these toxic relationships. And some of us are telling our testimonies from the grave. Hello, somebody. Right? And that's not what we're called to. So when you're in a position, you know it's time to leave when you know that you feel like you're dying. You're not called to do that.
Right there.
Now, I believe in fighting for your marriage and fight with everything you got. But when you feel like you're dying, it's time to reflect.
And let me tell you one thing. In my marriage, I was scared. I didn't have the balls to leave. So God literally picked me up and took me out. Yeah, that's when the sheriff came. I'm like, oh, okay, God, that's you and the sheriff. So literally, because I wouldn't have done it, because the unforeseen is scary when you don't know what's on the other side. He making the money, paying most of the rent, the mortgage. It's hard because you just don't know. But really trusting that process, oh my gosh, the reward is just so much better.